is always kind of a mixed time. We hate to see our great leaders go, and we're welcome to see our new leaders come. So we're all grateful for what we've done and looking forward to what we're getting ready to do. Which leads me to my next assignment, which is the pleasure I have in introducing our speaker, Nick Adams. We also want to welcome C-SPAN here today at the convention. They've come to broadcast Mr. Adams' speech across the nation, and a testament to his rise and great life journey. So this will be the first time that we've had C-SPAN at our convention. So we thank Nick for bringing them along with him, and appreciate the honor that it is to have them here. At the age of 33, Nick Adams has lived an extraordinary life. He's a 4-time best-selling author, Fox News commentator, and he currently serves as a surrogate for the White House. He's born and raised in Australia, but he's a legal immigrant to America and receiving the rare and extraordinary ability green card, otherwise known as the Einstein visa. He's the first author to ever have a book endorsed by a sitting president of the United States. He's the only author to have 2 books endorsed by a sitting president of the United States. This has prompted several in the media to refer to him as the president's favorite author. Just as an announcement, Nick has written 4 books: The American Boomerang, Retaking America, Crushing Political Correctness, The Green Card Warrior, and The Case Against the Establishment. All 4 will be available at the conclusion of his talk and for purchase at a book signing. There's special deals on several more books. Impressed by Nick's work, Governor Perry appointed Mr. Adams as an honorary Texan in 2013. And since then, Mr. Adams has also been commissioned a Kentucky colonel and made an honorary Oklahoman. Not sure why they didn't invite him to Louisiana, which is where I came from. I think we could do some good over there. He has the distinction of becoming the youngest ever elected deputy mayor in Australian history, just a few days after his 21st birthday. He has degrees from the University of Sydney, and he speaks fluent German and Greek. Today, Mr. Adams runs one of the fastest growing organizations in the country, the Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness, or FLAG. FLAG is a 501c3 nonprofit that teaches civics and promotes American dream and American pride in public schools. And last year, it created the world's first kid-friendly constitution, now in the hands of almost 100,000 students in all 50 states. He's a rising star in political and media arenas in the United States and almost in a different city every day, but he calls Texas home. He made a good choice. Please welcome America's immigrant and our friend, Nick Adams. And Nick, as you come up here, I want to just let you know that we have our own czar of political incorrectness here. And he's so I can't imagine, he looks like he's left, but Mr. Pete Bonds, who's our director of political incorrectness. And so if you see him speak up, then you'd like to.
Thank you very much. So much appreciated. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President, board members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with both gratitude and humility that I join you here at the largest ranching event of the year, the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Convention. Let me say at the outset, I love steak, I only drink whole milk, and I hate fake meat as much as I hate fake news. So I am in good company. As all of you can very clearly tell from my accent, I hail from South Texas. Very deep South Southwest Texas. I wasn't born here, but I certainly did come as quickly as I possibly could. When I immigrated to the United States from Australia, given my career, when it came to where to live, there were really only three options: New York City, Washington, D.C., or Texas. To use our president's terminology, the first is a S-hole, the second a swamp, and Texas a paradise. So that was one of the easiest decisions I've ever had to make. The truth is, I was always a Texan, trapped inside an Australian body, because Texas is a state of mind. I've learned that you don't necessarily live in Texas. Texas lives in you. It is the purest form of America and most lives up to the vision our founders had for our country. Texans are patriotic, hospitable, charitable, and can-do people. Our swagger, moxie, and bravado set us apart, as does our unsparing contempt for political correctness. Not to mention our disdain for the harebrained, limp-wristed progressive agendas so eagerly embraced in places like California and Europe. No meditators, hippies, or vegetarians for us. When it came to the decision-making process involved in calling Texas my home, I have told you the truth and nothing but the truth, but I have not told you the whole truth. It may also have had something to do with my fondness for Bluebell ice cream, oversized pickup trucks, gigantic belt buckles, briskets, 16-lane highways, honey butter biscuits from Whataburger, custom-made ostrich cowboy boots, which I proudly don here today, and chicken fried steak. That's worth a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, it truly is an honour and privilege to address you today. It tends to be in these moments that I am most reminded of the improbability of my journey to stand before you today. As anyone close to me will tell you, my life has been a roller coaster, full of rapid change in speed, direction, altitude, and emotion. My journey has seen me scale both the heights of exhilaration and plumb the depths of paralysing fear. But it is perhaps for that very reason that I live my life with such passion, resolve, energy, and optimism, all traits that I consider to be inherently and conspicuously American. If there is anything that I have learned on this journey, it is that there is only one indispensable value in life, and that is raw determination. Nothing can replace grit, resolve, persistence, tenacity. Our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, once declared emphatically that it is not the years in your life, but the life in your years. He would know. When I think of what it means to be an American, of what it means to embody American exceptionalism, when I think of all that is and should be in an American, I think of Abraham Lincoln. All my life, his story has propelled me forward. He was a common man who became an uncommon leader, an ordinary man with extraordinary desire, a man that lived full. He was born in Kentucky, raised in Indiana, and grew up in Illinois. No elementary school, no middle school, no high school, no college education. Everything he learned, he taught himself. He was a physically strong man, a wrestler who never backed down when challenged to fight. The things that define Abraham Lincoln perseverance, strength, character, and courage. They are the qualities that we need everywhere around us. Lincoln lost his mother. He lost his job. He lost his siblings. He lost 3 of his 4 children. He lost 6 elections. He failed in business. His first love died. He had a poor relationship with his father. But Lincoln was a titan, and titans never give up. Their hearts are too big to fail. Their passion too intense to deny. Their spirit irrepressible. Lincoln refused to see himself as a victim. Yes, he couldn't get out of bed at one point for 6 months, but he rallied. He fought against it. He persevered. He pushed and scratched and clawed and crawled to get back up on his house, to try again. Just one more round. Get up, he told himself. Time and time again, Lincoln ran toward his dreams. He was relentless, unstoppable, unwavering, unyielding, a force of nature. And in the end, despite all the loss, despite all the misfortune, despite all the tragedy, despite all the disappointments, he rose to be President Abraham Lincoln, a man America needed at a critical time, a man that still remains very much in the psyche of American politics more than 150 years after his death. Let it be in 2018 the great lesson for every young American, the inventors, the entrepreneurs, the aspiring leaders, that all of you, that every single one of you can start off common and end up uncommon. That in America you can begin ordinary but become extraordinary. That you can rise above any set of circumstances and achieve anything. Lincoln's journey combines 2 of the most powerful forces that have guided my life: patriotism and inspiration. Many people wait a long time for the defining moment of their life. I didn't have to. At 16 months, my life had barely begun when it almost ended. I was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma, a rare form of childhood cancer, the cause of which remains unknown even today. Doctors told my parents I had just a 5% chance of survival, that only 1 in 20 children survive, and that even if I did, there was a possibility that I would never be able to walk. For 3 years, I underwent chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and an operation. And through the healing hands of God, our master physician, with an assist from an American doctor, I defied the odds and miraculously survived. Mercifully, I don't remember any of it, but it did devastate my parents then in the prime of their lives, and it would forever shape me. I have gone on to live a completely active and unrestricted life. The treatment I received did take several inches off of my height, but I like to say that whatever God took, he added straight to the size of my heart. As Mark Twain puts it, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. As I grew older and was able to comprehend the magnitude of my escape, I resolved to never waste a second of a minute of a day, of a week, of a month, of a year. Since I'd had to fight for it, I realized life was precious and not a given. I figured I was living in credit, and if the odds were better than 5%, I'd take it. Except the boldness, confidence, individualism, and intensity associated with such an approach to life did not fit the culture of the country of my birth. And it would see me marginalised, blackballed, restricted, and constantly landing in hot water with the establishment, whether at high school, university, or my political party. But more on that later. I had an idyllic childhood. My first word, I am reliably informed, was Coke. as in Coca-Cola. I am the son of the two most amazing parents, a strict, old-school, no-nonsense mathematician father and a loving, doting nurse mother. Growing up, when it came to educational or extracurricular opportunities, my parents never said no. My mother taught me to dream, and my father taught me reality. He was and remains my hero. Most importantly, my father impressed on me the need to be confident. I distinctly recall one year at an end-of-year assembly in elementary school, I won a prize and was called before the school to collect it. When the assembly was over, I walked out to find my father absolutely furious. When you go and collect an award, or you walk to the front of a room, you don't walk up there with your head buried in your shoulders like you're ashamed or embarrassed. You stick your head up, your shoulders back, and you walk up there like you own the place. I told you I was raised like a Texan. I have my love of adventure from my mother. Almost every year, starting at the age of 9, my parents would send me to Europe as an unaccompanied minor, by myself, for my summer vacation to spend time with both sets of grandparents. Looking back, this gave me tremendous confidence and expanded my worldview. With both sets of grandparents overseas, my father would routinely set up a big VHS video camera on a tripod and command me to update my parents on what my parents and I, had been up to in Australia. All of that experience has much to do with the success I have had on and with television today. I come from a line of small business people on both sides. My mother's family owned one of the most successful flower stores in Hamburg, Germany. My father's family were Greek immigrants to Australia that became one of the leading button manufacturers in the nation, even at one point servicing the national airline Qantas. Perhaps most significantly to my development was our weekend activity, raising money for the local children's hospital by selling jewellery that my mother made. It was here that I learned and honed many of the skills that would go on to make me so effective in the political space. I learned the ability to communicate with everybody and strike up a rapport, no matter who they were or what education level they had. This was retail at its most basic, and while no one ever saw it coming, it proved to be the best training ground imaginable for a future in politics. School came easy to me, and I ended up graduating first in 3 of my 4 final subjects: English, German, and legal studies. As for university, the running joke in my family is that I finished my 4-year degree in 3.5 and did so without even taking a pen to school. The truth is that within 1 year of starting college, I was injected with the political drug. I ran to be elected for local government at the age of 19 and won. The first election I ever voted in, I voted for myself. 18 months later, just 8 days after my 21st birthday, I was elected deputy mayor. As a young man with ambition, as well as wanting to help people, I set out to make a name for myself, to use my position as a platform with which to reach further. It was my time in politics in Australia that made me realise that it was not the country for me. The political culture there prizes timidity, moderation, and mediocrity in approach and discourse. And as all of you know, politics is downstream from culture. Australia is not the country that international perception would have you believe. For the last 3 decades, Australia has traded on cleverly crafted marketing, reinforced by charismatic figures such as Paul Hogan, otherwise known as Crocodile Dundee, and the late crocodile hunter, the great Steve Irwin. And let me just add parenthetically that the great irony is that both of those men were infinitely more popular and successful in America and had personalities far more in tune with the United States of America than their country of birth. That marketing bears little resemblance with reality. Culturally and politically, there is very little difference between Australia and any number of European nations. Churches are being routinely changed into nightclubs. Christianity is neither robust nor welcomed. The politics of envy is alive and well, drummed into Australians by decades of socialism and welfarism. Anybody who supports gun rights is considered extreme. Radical multiculturalism has made the nation almost unrecognisable from even 20 years ago. Australia's isolation is its only saving grace. It is more difficult and takes longer for the forces of degradation so prevalent in Europe to take root. America stands alone in culture, in system, and in values. That's because it's the only country that is also an idea. I have loved, admired, and been captivated by the United States of America for as long as I can remember. It's a funny thing, you know, even when you are not able to intellectually understand freedom, your spirit still does. In the summer of 2009, at the age of 24, I finally decided to come to this country that my spirit had so long yearned for. I wanted to come on a speaking tour, but I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any connections. I had no family here. So I relied on what I have always relied on: boldness, instinct, and initiative. I researched as many organisations as I could and wrote to them. I told them I was 24, coming to America for the first time, and I wanted to speak to their organisation while I was in the country. And in a testament to the openness of the American people and culture, people actually wrote back and said, yes, we'd love to have you come and speak. And by the way, there'll be a baseball game in town while you're here. Can we buy you a ticket? On that trip, I knew immediately that America was the country for me. It was even better than what I had expected, and I had expected it to be pretty spectacular. But it would not be until 2012 that I began the process of legal immigration. Getting here was not easy. It took me 4 years and cost me more money than I had. It took a tremendous toll on my family and my friends. The experience was made worse because it appeared I was the victim of political opposition, with my already approved extraordinary ability green card attempted to be overturned at the last minute in a most unconventional manner. It turned my life upside down. I was unable to travel to the United States for a period of time. This was even more devastating when coupled with the prospect of little future in Australia. I was a public school teacher, but once my work in the United States was drawn to their attention, I was blacklisted from work. But justice prevailed, and I finally immigrated to the United States of America on July 29, 2016, and it has been nothing but, as Willie Nelson puts it so nicely, blue skies since then. Many of you know or have heard of my accomplishments. Multiple best-selling author and the first to ever have a book endorsed by a sitting president of the United States. Touring Air Force One, bowling at the White House, commissioned a Kentucky colonel, awarded an extraordinary ability green card by the US government, running an organisation that raised more than $500,000 last year and whose budget this year is $1 million. When I consider the odds, the challenges, the realities, the obstacles, the journey seems utterly inconceivable. But America is a very special place. This country has given me so much. It gave me hope when I despaired. It inspired me when I felt weak. It's given me life. Now it's my turn to give back. I came to America to make, not take, to give, not receive, to join the place, not change it or complain about it. And I came to make sure that it doesn't turn out like the country I felt I had to leave. This is why I started FLAG, the Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness, a 501c3 nonprofit. FLAG teaches civics and promotes the American dream and American pride in elementary, middle and public high schools. The greatest threat facing this pinnacle nation of ours is that for several generations now, we have not passed down what it means to be an American. We have not taught Americanism, the moral dimension, the limited government dimension, that it is individualism, not collectivism, patriotism, not relativism, God, not government, faith, not secularism, equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome, that it's e pluribus unum, not radical multiculturalism. Our children are the least patriotic they have ever been. They have been taught to elevate feelings over facts. Many have become unwilling to countenance opposing views to politically correct orthodoxy and have been given the audacity and false righteousness to shut these views down because they don't agree with them. They do not understand what it means to be an American, what being an American is. They are unable to identify the foundational principles of this country. They don't know what makes America special or different to every other country in the world. They don't know that American technology and innovation has transformed the world, that people are wealthier, healthier and safer because of America. They have no idea they live in the country with whose fortunes the world travels. I am on a mission to make sure that Americans everywhere, but particularly the next generation of American leaders, know that the day that they are born in the United States of America or the day that they move permanently to the United States of America is the day that they won the lottery of life. And of course, if they were born in Texas, well, they hit the jackpot. I want young Americans to know that this is the best place in the world to start a business and grow it. That this is the best place in the world to dream, invent, build, tinker and bet the farm in pursuit of a better life. That there is nothing more American than entrepreneurship. The startup is an idea as old as America itself. When it comes to business, this country has the eye of the tiger. There is a spirit of ambition and innovation and collaboration and connection that you can just smell. You can feel the energy, the dynamism and hunger, and all of the qualities needed for an entrepreneur. Boldness, confidence, passion, vision, resilience, thinking big, a preparedness to put it all on the line. These are qualities loved and rewarded by Americans. There is nowhere better in the world to take risks, think outside the box, and not follow the crowd. This is all because America gives you the chance to fail. See, everywhere else, failure is fatal, but not here. Thomas Edison had 1,000 unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb. Henry Ford failed and went broke at least twice. Walt Disney was once almost twice bankrupt, but it was never held against them. In fact, it worked for them There is nothing more that typifies the American spirit than someone who never gives up. That's why we love stories of redemption, struggle, and triumph. It's also why we are the world's only optimistic people. In America, we prize greatness, not mediocrity. It's better to try to be extraordinary than settle for average. And that's why our success has been extraordinary. All the major inventions, innovations, industries and ideas of the world are American. That's because it's so easy to start new businesses here. Capital and imagination combine more quickly here than anywhere else in the world, which is why we serve the future so well, because America is from the future. A belief in small government has meant that we deal with the least bureaucratic red tape of any country. We believe anything is possible for anyone. In America, wealth can be created more unhindered than anywhere else. If you dream of blazing a trail, or leaving a legacy, or being the best in your field, or creating something that will change the world forever, and you're living in America, there is great news. You've got a head start on everyone else in the world. This is the best country in the world to make your dream come true. You're living amongst the most dynamic, energetic, optimistic, enterprising and can-do people in the world. The founders of America made it that way. They made sure the need for government approvals and red tape was limited so that the human genius and accomplishment could unleash. Our Constitution restrains the government, not us. Everything is set up for your success here. Does that mean that it's easy? Absolutely not. Realizing your dream and achieving your goals is going to take all you have and more. You're going to fall over and over and over. You're going to have to shed blood, sweat, and tears. The competition you will face will be brutal, and it's going to take longer than you ever thought. But at least you are operating in a dream-friendly environment. Unlike other places, no one is going to stop you. People won't be rooting for your failure. You won't be shut down or disliked for having the audacity to try to elevate yourself in life. In my experience, people tend to mind their own business in America. They're too busy getting on with fulfilling their own dreams. Bottom line is this: in America, only you limit yourself. I don't care what colour you are, where you were born, whether English was your first language or not, what education you have. If you want to make it in America, you can. This is the country where you have the most control over your fate. The gatekeepers are far and few between, and the American people will always provide a path around them if needed. Your success won't rely on whether you go along to get along. It'll be on your talent and work ethic. No dream is too big and no obstacle too high. If you work tirelessly and rely on self-belief, native instincts, and a show-up, dominate attitude, it doesn't matter how badly the deck is stacked against you. America has proven again and again, anyone can do anything. It's time to get a dream or refocus on your existing one. At Flag, now growing exponentially with already a 6-person staff, we are working every day to accomplish our dream of reaching the hearts and minds of young Americans everywhere. Last year on Constitution Day, we launched the world's first kid-friendly constitution live on Fox News with a 3-hour event. We worked with interns from the late Justice Antonin Scalia's office to get the United States Constitution into plain, simple, easy to understand English that even a fifth grader can understand, along with age-appropriate graphics and illustrations. That resource has been a rocket ship for us, with more than 100,000 students and teachers in all 50 states having access to it. We recently received a testimonial that read, "Dear Flag, thank you for your donation of some 30 copies of your Constitution to our school. You brought the Constitution alive, and we have never seen our students so engaged." That was Twyla Reed Elementary School. Do you know where Twyla Reed Elementary School is? It's a public school in Anaheim, California. With the stunning success of that resource, Flag next month on April 18 will launch the world's first kid-friendly Declaration of Independence. Same concept, again on Fox News, with a special 3-hour event. And to celebrate that launch, 3 days later in Washington, D.C., on April 21, at the Trump Hotel, Flag will host its annual gala. Keynote speaker, Bill O'Reilly. If you're interested in attending, let us know. We have invitations with us. Separate to Flag, I will be co-hosting exclusive West Wing tours and bowling at the White House. So if that sweetens the deal some, let us know, because we may be able to accommodate you. And we are also currently working on the Students' Federalist Papers, because we want to have the whole suite of founding documents covered. Flag is making great strides as well with our digital messaging campaigns, the medium of choice for the next generation. We have reached more than 5 million people already on social media in just the last 6 months, acquiring approximately 500,000 new people each month engaging with our content. We plan on this being more than 25 million people per month by the end of this year. I can also announce with great excitement that Flag will partner with the White House sometime this year to host the first ever Youth Patriotism Summit on the lawns of the White House. Students are only one phase in recapturing American knowledge. Teachers are an indispensable part, and that's why Flag is creating custom lesson plans for K-12 classrooms. Flag is also preparing to lead professional development training programs for K-12 educators across the country by the fall of 2018. Flag's teacher trainings will be the first of its kind and the only training program dedicated to helping teachers instill patriotism in their students while teaching a wide variety of subjects. Our Flag Schools Pledge continues to gain traction. We set ourselves a goal in the summer of last year to recruit more than 1,000 schools to sign our pledge. To number 1, display an American flag in every classroom. Number 2, recite the Pledge of Allegiance every day. And number 3, sing the national anthem before all major sporting events. I am proud to report that we are well on our way to do that. Our initiative in promoting young Americans to seek a technical career rather than an academic one will be close to the hearts of almost everyone in this room. American exceptionalism is rooted in our making things. We need a more highly trained workforce in the trades. We need electricians, plumbers, machinists, welders, and trade schools. Flag is declaring war on the idea that every child should go to college. College, university is not for everyone. And there are very good reasons that we don't want our children going to college unless they are tailor-made for it. We want them avoiding the liberal indoctrination that inevitably awaits them on any college campus. We don't want them saddled with debt. We want them to be able to find employment easily, and we want them to have the opportunity after a few years to go out and do the most American thing of all: start their own business, become entrepreneurs, and employ people. If you would like some more information on FLAG or would like to support us financially, we have donation envelopes on all of your chairs. Please come outside and visit us at our booth or see one of our FLAG team, easily identifiable in their blue flag shirts. We are growing exponentially, but we need your help to make this the premier organisation in the country. I know that TSCRA is the strongest force in cattle production here in the United States, and you are among the most patriotic and conservative people in America, and we want you to be behind us. Let me close by detailing the fight and position in history we find ourselves. America turns 242 years old this year. It's a time for great celebration, but also a time for sober consideration. If you ask any historian, they will tell you that most great nations last somewhere between 230 and 270 years. That puts America right in the kill zone. As I tell students in public high schools, history is not over. What the world will look like in 20, 30 or 40 years could be completely different. America is not inevitable. What we have here is the exception to the rule of human history. If the 21st century is not an American-led century, it will not be a free century. Freedom is not inevitable. What we have here can go away. If government grows too big, if ruthless leaders elsewhere grow so powerful, we could lose it all. It's happened before. It could happen again. You've got the communist Chinese with more than 1 billion people, radical Islamists seeking to export their ideology, international institutions that don't care what your perspective is or what your country is. They want to tell you from a distant capital how you're going to be living. These are very different political ideologies to Americanism, and we need to perpetuate Americanism. And we need to remind the next generation that there are these different ideologies out there that would change America completely. The ancient civilization of Sparta has always fascinated me. And it's interesting, as a side note, that today is actually Greek Independence Day. I believe that there is something that America can adopt from Spartan defiance and passion at this most critical time. My favourite Spartan story is the Battle of Thermopylae, told well by my great friend Alan West. Persian king Xerxes sought to exact revenge against the Greeks for the previous defeat of his father at the Battle of Marathon. Upon the death of his father, Xerxes continued preparations, and in the second invasion of Greece, he amassed an even greater army and navy. Leonidas pleaded with Sparta's Council of Elders, the establishment, to let him march the Spartan army to meet the invading Persians. They denied that request because of an impending Spartan festival. King Leonidas knew that stemming the invasion and breaking its initiative was important to the future of freedom and of Greece. He decided within his right to call up his personal guard of 300 men. He selected terrain that afforded him a battle advantage based upon Spartan tactics. He chose to make the blocking maneuver at a place called the Hot Gates, or Thermopylae, a narrow pass with mountains on one side and sea on the other. Word spread that the fierce fighters would march to Thermopylae. Troops from other Greek city-states joined Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, and their numbers grew to an estimated 7,000. It was still a far inferior force in numbers to the Persian horde. However, the Greeks arrived at the hot gates ahead of the Persians and began fortifying their position. Over 3 days, the Greeks exacted massive casualties against the Persians. It took a Greek traitor who showed the Persians a hidden mountain pass to the rear of the Thermopylae defense to initiate the fateful end for the Spartans. But under the Spartan code, there would be no retreat. As a matter of fact, Spartan mothers issued their sons their shields with the command to return bearing your shield or being borne upon it. Some would say that King Leonidas and his Spartans gained a Pyrrhic victory. That was hardly the case. Their brave sacrifice and delaying action bought valuable time for Greece. Subsequently, Persia was defeated a year later. There are many lessons to take from the Spartans' brave stand against the Persians. Chief among them, though, is the lesson that it only takes a few men to make a stand for freedom to survive. Even if you're heavily outnumbered as the Greeks were, you can fight on a narrow front to buy yourself time. Sometimes a tactical defeat serves a larger purpose. Sometimes a stalwart stand leads to strategic victory. We should always stand and fight on principle. It is the only way we can win this culture war. We are battling baying mobs of violent, George Soros-funded domestic terrorists, the combined weight of the media and entertainment industries and the entire educational establishment. We are beyond heavily outnumbered. But unlike the rest of the world, which is too far gone, victory in America is possible. I refuse to stand by as anti-Americanism tears apart America's schools, colleges, creative industries, newspapers, and everything else. I want to fight these forces. I believe in God, I believe in America, and I believe that our ideas are the best ideas. And all of this faith gives me the courage to act. There has been a culture war raging in this country for the last 60 years, but only one side has been fighting it. That side does not honour the rules of engagement. They have been governed only by the rules of Saul Alinsky and the Chicago mob, because they are dedicated to our annihilation at any cost. Meanwhile, the establishment has prized restraint and civility in the wake of this war, and now we barely recognise our country. Local high schools are being renamed. Statues are being torn down. We are being steamrolled. As a result, truth, capitalism, the rule of law, beauty, our entire civilization is imperiled. We must proclaim the truth loudly and wage war in its name. We must fight, for America is freedom's Colosseum. Freedom lives or freedom perishes right here. The future pages of history books will reflect the actions we determined to take at this juncture. Did we engage in this fight, or did we let the America we know disappear? Did we decide that decline was a choice and not a condition? And did we decide to make a different choice? Did we invest in the future by evangelizing patriotism among our young and our immigrant communities? The answers to those questions will determine the fate of America. Let's make sure that every American child knows they are not limited by their first language or last name, or by their colour or gender or sexual orientation. Let's make sure that every American child can dream. Let's make sure that every American child understands the foundations of our country. Let's make sure that every American child has a heart beating for America. Let's make sure that today's child is willing to pass on Americanism to tomorrow's child. Let's hope every American child feels a patriotic flush of resentment when they hear their nation defamed. Let's fight like Spartans and win like Spartans. And let's secure this as an American century so that it is a free century. That's what we work on at FLAG every single day. We are all in for America. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Texas. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.